Anna Kasparian's joining me, co-host of the Young Turks at theyoungturks.com and on Current TV. Anna, you've been covering a bunch of incredible stories related to the war on women, which now is really turning into the war on young girls, too, incredibly. There's the story out of a Louisiana public school where female students, obviously female students, suspected of being pregnant, which I don't even know what that means, are being forced to take a pregnancy test or basically to leave school. Tell us about it.
Well, there is a high school in Louisiana. It's known as Delhi High School. And what they're doing is they're looking for teenagers that they suspect of being pregnant. They're forcing them to take pregnancy tests. And if they do test positive for pregnancy, they immediately kick them out of the school, or they put them in a homeschool program that is connected to the high school. Now, I'm guessing that the reasoning behind this is they want to make sure that these students are not setting a bad example for other students in the school. They kind of want to pretend as if this is a problem that they don't want to address. It's something that they kind of want to brush under the rug. And honestly, there's a shaming aspect of this as well, which I find very interesting. Now, I am assuming that there are conservative administrators at this charter school, I should note, that are uncomfortable with having pregnant teenagers on campus. But what happened to the pro-life movement? I mean, these are teenagers who have decided that they want to be responsible, as they would say, and carry out these pregnancies to full term. So instead of punishing them, shouldn't you create an environment where you basically support the decision that they've made instead of like shaming them and punishing them?
Yeah, I mean, this is the exact type of situation that right-wing social policy has backed itself into a corner on, right? Because on the one hand, you want to teach abstinence only. On the other hand, you also don't want abortions. You don't want contraception either, though, which is known to save lives and prevent abortions. So then what do? You kick them out, and then you're not really being pro-life. Wouldn't you want to embrace the fact that they're carrying the baby to full term? At the same time, your argument is they shouldn't even be having sex at all.
Right, exactly. Abstinence-only education doesn't work. And I think we have several case studies to prove that. When George Bush was in office, he defunded comprehensive sex education, and as a result, teen pregnancies skyrocketed. Now, thankfully, when Obama got elected, he looked at this and realized that it wasn't working, so he started focusing more on comprehensive sex education, and as you can notice, our teen pregnancy rates are slowly but surely dropping, which is excellent. So another part of this that I want to focus on is, yes, there are people in this country who are genuinely pro-life, people who do believe that it is a life form at the moment of conception and we cannot abort that zygote, for instance. However, there are people in this country that I feel are more focused on punishing and shaming women, right? They see abortion as an easy way out, and it's kind of like, oh, well, you had sex out of wedlock, so because of that, you need to be punished for it. You need to be responsible and have that baby, and you get no government assistance. If you're in school, you should get kicked out of that school, and you should go to homeschool. I mean, it's about punishing these girls, when in reality, we should create a support system that, first of all, doesn't get them pregnant in the first place, teaches them how to prevent that from happening. But if that does happen, and they do decide that they want to have that child, well, we should be supportive of that as well, rather than shaming them and punishing them publicly.
The other issue is for people who say, oh, that's a crazy policy for this school to have. I'm glad the school I went to, the school my kid goes to, doesn't have that policy. Even when there isn't this crazy policy, most female students who end up having a kid in high school do end up leaving school anyway for kind of the off-the-record discrimination that takes place, don't they?
Absolutely. 70% of high school teenagers who get pregnant actually end up dropping out of high school, and that's a huge statistic. And part of the reason why is because, first of all, they do get bullied by their classmates. I'm sure that they get ridiculed because of the fact that they've gotten pregnant, but also administrators look down on them. They convince the students that maybe they should go to another campus that has pregnant teenagers. I know there are certain schools that do that, but as the ACLU noted, this is actually against the Constitution. It basically goes against something known as Title IX, and school administrators are not allowed to discriminate against students based on their sexuality or if they get pregnant, especially if they're getting federal and state dollars in order for that school to operate. Now, a lot of people were making the argument that this is a charter school, so maybe they're allowed to make their own policies, but that is not the case. They are receiving public funding, and as a result, they need to adhere to Title IX.
This brings up questions which we've had for years more broadly about the Louisiana education system, doesn't it? I mean, we see so often people like Bobby Jindal, governor of Louisiana, criticizing what takes place in just about every other state and kind of avoiding scrutiny, or at least trying to avoid scrutiny of their own state. But the Louisiana educational system has a number of problems, don't they?
It really does. Right now, what you see in Louisiana is the defunding of public education and the funding of the voucher system. Now, a lot of people are being fooled into thinking that the voucher system is great because it gives parents the opportunity to choose which schools that their children go to, and they can choose private schools. But there are a number of problems with that. First of all, the number of really, really good private schools in Louisiana are filled with students. They don't have enough space to take in more. However, there are a bunch of these right-wing Christian not colleges, I'm sorry, public schools within Louisiana that do have a lot of space. But the problem with that is they don't believe in science-based research. They push the idea of creationism, and it's not really the type of education that students should be getting. They really need logical education, not religious education. Another problem with that is Bobby Jindal will make the argument that public schools are complete and utter failures within the state. But the reality is he's sucking money out of the public schools and he's putting it into the voucher system. So of course the public schools are going to fail if they're not getting the necessary funding to operate. And the final thing is, parents are being tricked into thinking this is a good program because they're thinking, oh my God, look, the state is going to pay for this private school and it's going to be awesome. What do you think Republicans are going to do as soon as they shut down the public schools in the state? You think they're going to continue giving you funding so you can send your kid to private school? Hell no, they don't care about your kid's education.
Not only that, but it'll become the de facto curriculum that we have. Traditional math is the new one that we're covering on the next segment, which is the addition now to the sex education we've been talking about. There will not even be an alternative to that right-wing, and I hate to even call it a curriculum, but the right-wing curriculum.
Exactly. And it's a real problem that Republicans are very much in favor of. And of course, it kind of goes to the whole issue of the unions. They want to get rid of the unions. They want to get rid of public schools. And in the meantime, they're really destroying the education and the opportunities for these young kids. And I feel horrible about it. And I really, really hope that Democrats fight hard to basically fund public education again, keep it going, keep it strong. And I know that public education has some problems, but privatizing our education is not the way to go.
Well, it's the ultimate closed-loop, self-fulfilling prophecy, right? You criticize that the public schools aren't that good, so you give some vouchers for private schools. Okay, it doesn't cover the entire private school tuition in most cases, so then only parents who have extra money to put towards their education pull their kids out. That means that it gets even worse for the kids whose parents can't afford to send them there, and then it makes public education even worse, furthering the argument from conservatives that we need to get rid of the public schools. In a sense, it's perfect for them.
It is perfect for them. And another thing to keep in mind, you mentioned tuition, and that is a key word. A lot of college graduates right now are having a tough time creating a life for themselves, buying a home, raising families because of the fact that they are burdened with student loan debt. Now imagine how much more debt these students are going to have just because they took out loans so they can pay for their private, grade school education. I mean, it's unbelievable. And if we head in that direction, I think we're going to see a bigger division between the rich and the poor, because what's going to happen is education will be reserved for the wealthiest people, the wealthiest children in the country, and those from the middle class and the working class will not have the ability to pay for education. People don't realize how important free public education is in this country, and if we destroy it, we're going to see a huge wealth disparity in the country.
No question, and in part they don't realize it because of the successful campaign that we're seeing from the right about talking about how worthless public education is, which is, like I said, self-fulfilling prophecy. Anna Kasparian, co-host of The Young Turks, theyoungturks.com, also on Current TV. The Young Turks web show now, new time again, right? Now it's 9 p.m. Eastern.
Yes, 9 p.m. Eastern to 11 p.m. Eastern. I come on at 10 p.m. Eastern, but you guys should definitely check out the whole show. We do a variety of really cool topics, just like David does, actually. I love how you have a lot of variety. Sometimes you talk about the wacky stuff that we talk about, too, so it's great.
All right. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you.